What's up, Giants fans? I'm your host, Marshall Green, and you're watching New York Giants Now. And in today's show, we're going to be going over the latest Giants news and rumors. And what do you know? Daniel Jeremiah suggested that the Giants should trade for Baker Mayfield. We'll break all that down. I'll give you my opinion. And then what to do with James Bradberry. Joe Schoen, he was just on WFAN, and he said a resolution regarding James Bradberry is going to come by the end of the week. And then Brian Daboll, he talked about Kadarius Toney to the press at voluntary workouts, and we'll break all that down. But first, Baker Mayfield. Should the Giants trade for the troubled quarterback that the Cleveland Browns are trying to move on from? There hasn't been a strong trade market for Baker and the Browns. They've been trying to trade him since they traded for that guy, number 4, Deshaun Watson. And it makes sense. You don't want two quarterbacks. And Baker Mayfield, he has a cap hit of $18.9 million. So you don't want to pay Deshaun Watson the $200 million guaranteed contract that he got and the $19 million that Baker Mayfield's due. It makes a lot of sense for Andrew Berry, the Browns general manager, to move on from Baker. But at the end of the day, if you want to make a trade, you got to have two teams to tango. And that's not going to happen if, in my opinion, the Browns don't eat some of that salary. The Browns, they've said they don't want to eat some of that salary. So I could see this situation playing out for a very long time if it ever does get resolved. And Daniel Jeremiah, his resolution and his opinion was for the Giants to trade for Baker. This is what Daniel Jeremiah had to say on the Rich Eisen show earlier this week. I talked to one person in the league who said, hey, saw you guys talk to Pete Carroll. There's no way they are signing Baker Mayfield. But the team I mentioned was the Giants. I just thought you didn't pick up the fifth-year option on Daniel Jones. I just think if you want to have a competition, and maybe that gets the best out of Daniel Jones, or maybe Baker comes in there and flat out just beats him out, and off you go. I know they've got Tyrod Taylor there as well, but I would say based off of accomplishments at their best in this league, that Baker Mayfield has played at a higher level than those two guys have. You could make a strong case that he could win the job. Look, Baker Mayfield, he might be right now a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. But if you were going to make a move for Baker, why didn't you do it a couple of weeks ago before voluntary minicamps started so that you could start to install the new playbook with Baker Mayfield? I don't think a new general manager in Joe Schoen and a new head coach in Brian Daboll and a new offensive coordinator in Mike Kafka want to have a quarterback competition in their first year. That's usually a bad thing for teams, so I want to leave it up to you. If you had to pick a quarterback to be the starter for the Giants in 2022, who would you rather it be? If you want it to be Daniel Jones, go down in the comment section and type 8, his jersey number. Or if you think Baker Mayfield would be a better option for the Giants, including his $19 million salary, that's fine. We can disagree. Just go in the comment section and let me know by typing number 6. A trade for Baker Mayfield for the Giants, it makes no sense. The Giants are trying to cut a very good cornerback in James Bradberry to save $10 million because they are having a little bit of trouble in signing their draft picks, all 11 of them, that they just selected. So adding a player in Baker Mayfield that has an $18.8 million cap hit on top of the $8.3 million cap hit that Daniel Jones has, and then the $2.7 million cap hit that Tyrod Taylor has, the guy you just signed in free agency, how does that make sense? The Giants are in a position right now where they're trying to shed salary cap space, not by adding it and the $18.8 million of Baker Mayfield. Just if you eliminated the cap and you thought about who's a better football player like Daniel Jeremiah is, I understand where he's coming from. Baker Mayfield, he's led the Browns to the playoffs. Daniel Jones has not done that. Baker Mayfield, he's won a playoff game. Daniel Jones has not done that. But look, at the end of the day, I think we know what Baker Mayfield is. He's played with great talent. He's had good running backs. He's had good receivers. He's had good tight ends. He's had a good offensive line. Can you say the same about Daniel Jones? Does that mean Daniel Jones is going to be good once he gets that? No. But I am putting my trust in Brian Daboll, someone that turned around the career of Josh Allen. Josh Allen did have all the traits to be an elite quarterback, and I think Daniel Jones has the traits to be a solid quarterback. Could he be Alex Smith, a cab driver, a game-managing quarterback, someone that wins you games but doesn't lose you games? I think Daniel Jones has that in him. And at the end of the day, he's going to have to prove that this year because this is his last chance to be a starter in the National Football League. Because look, if the Giants, who didn't pick up your fifth-year option, and you struggle in your fourth year in the NFL, where are you going to go from there? Because the Giants, if you struggle, they're going to move on from you. They're not going to sign you and re-sign you to a new contract in free agency, and they're going to be in the draft trying to find a guy like C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. So if the time is now, or there is ever a time for Daniel Jones to show John Mara, Brian Daboll, and Joe Schoen that he's a guy that you can depend on to be the face of the franchise, the time is now. And honestly, this is his last chance if he ever wants to do it. But do you believe in Daniel Jones? Do you think he can honestly be a franchise quarterback? Can he lead you to the playoffs as a quarterback? There's a lot that goes into it. He hasn't had a lot of success. He hasn't had a lot of talent around him. All that goes in. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a results-based business, and the results haven't been that great. But let me know. Type go DJ if you believe in Daniel Jones, or no DJ if you do not. I want to say thank you to all 833 new subscribers that subscribed during our NFL draft coverage from Thursday to Sunday. We put out 12 videos around the New York Giants and the draft in that time frame and picked up 833 subscribers. That's awesome. Shout out to all of you. And all you new subs, go hit that bell icon. Turn your notifications to all so you get notified anytime a video here on Giants Now by Chat Sports is put out there. So you can get in the comments and you can join the Noti game and try to be the first commenter and join the first commenter club. Look, free daily videos around the latest Giants news and rumors. No other YouTube channel does it like we do. So lock us in, hit that big red button, and help us get to 9,000 subscribers. The latest on James Bradberry is Joe Schoen said a decision about Bradberry is going to come this week, and hallelujah, I am tired of talking about James Bradberry because it honestly upsets me a little bit. He's a good football player. The Giants aren't in the business to be giving up good football players, but you have to keep a healthy cap. And honestly, keeping him on, unless you restructure his deal, we'll show you two contingency plans, as Joe Schoen likes to call it, about James Bradberry. But look, I think it's going to end up in the Giants cutting him, which would save $10.2 million. It would have been $12 million if they did it a couple of months ago, but they waited too long and his contract became partially guaranteed. Patricia, she covers the New York Giants. She's a beat reporter. She tweeted this out today that Joe Schoen on an interview with WFAN said a resolution regarding James Bradberry should be coming by the end of the week. And thank goodness it needs to happen now. The Giants, they need to find out what they need to do to find James Bradberry replacements. But there are two options the Giants have if they want to move on from James Bradberry. Contingency plan number one, restructure his contract. You reduce his $3.4 million salary to $1 million, and you make the rest of that a signing bonus. So James Bradberry doesn't lose out on any money. That would save $6.2 million this year, but would make his 2023 cap hit $7.5 million. And in 2023, he wouldn't even be on the Giants. So if you wanted to keep him by restructuring his contract, you could split up the dead cap money over 2022 and 2023, but he wouldn't even be on the team in 2023. And the Giants and Joe Schoen, he said they want to keep a fluid salary cap situation going forward, and that really doesn't help out the Giants' salary cap going forward. It does make them a better team now, but you also got to be thinking about the future. What about the second contingency plan? These came out from Dan Duggan of The Athletic. Shout out to him, one of the best Giants beat reporters. What about adding 4 void years to his contract? What's a void year? It's essentially you're adding fake years to his contract so you can spread out the money he's due over those fake void years, and it lowers his cap hit, which right now is about $13.4 million. So you spread the $12.3 million that he's owed this season over 5 years, and you save $9.8 million in cap space this year, but you also have $11.2 million in dead money next year. Both those contingency plans make the Giants' future salary cap a little bit murky. It doesn't really benefit them next year. But they do have $95 million in cap space next year to make it happen. So maybe they do it, maybe they don't. Joe Schoen said there's contingency plans to keep him, but at the end of the day, I think they just outright cut him and save $10.2 million. But I want to take the pulse of all Giants fans right now. What would you do with James Bradberry if you were the general manager? Would you cut him and save $10.2 million? Type C. or if you think they should restructure or add void years the way we just showed you, you can go down in the comment section and type R. Last topic on today's show, and it surrounds Kadarius Toney, now the second-year player out of Florida who struggled his first year. Didn't have a touchdown, didn't show up for voluntary minicamps earlier in the offseason, didn't show up for voluntary workouts, and then Pat Leonard said that the Giants were looking to shop him. And then he showed up in East Rutherford to the Giants building. He's been there for a week or so, and Brian Daboll yesterday spoke about Kadarius Toney. This is what he had to say. KT has been great. He's been here. He's been working. He's been with the group. He's picking up things really well. He's got a really good skill set. He's a good space player. He was a QB in high school. It's still new to him. But you can tell he's an instinctive football player. I look forward to working with him. And damn sure and damn right Brian Daboll wants to work with Kadarius Toney, because if his head is on straight, there's nobody really else in the NFL, in my opinion, outside of Tyreek Hill, that is as explosive with the football in his hands like Kadarius Toney. Go back to the Dallas Cowboys game or against the New Orleans Saints. How many times did we see him get out of the first tackle, make the first tackle or miss, break through arm tackles, and be a yards after catch monster? He's a generator with the football in his hands, and that's what the Giants want to do. They want to play with spacing on offense. They want to be a spread offense and have speed. When you got guys like Kadarius Toney, that makes it a lot easier. Look, Toney and a Mike Kafka / Brian Daboll offense, that could be fireworks. Brian Daboll, he's had Isaiah McKenzie before. He did wonders with him. And honestly, Kadarius Toney is 10 times the player Isaiah McKenzie is. We've seen what Mike Kafka has done in Kansas City with guys like Tyreek Hill and all the other fast receivers they have, Mecole Hardman, jet sweeps, get him the ball in the flats, screen routes. Just let the player do what he does best, and Kadarius Toney having the ball in his hands is when he is at his best. In 2021, it was kind of a rough year for Toney. He had some splash games against the Cowboys, had a great game against the Saints, made some big-time plays for a fourth-quarter comeback for the Giants. He had some good, about 7 catches against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But at the end of the day, as a rookie, when you only have 39 grabs for 420 yards in 10 games, you're going to have to put that in your pipe and smoke it. Shout out to 420 in his yards. But for real, how many touchdowns do you think Kadarius Toney is going to have this season? Look, it's got to be more than 0. We can't go another season where our former first overall pick doesn't score a touchdown. Can you give me 5 tutties? Let's say 50 catches, 650 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think that would be a success, but I want you to let me know, how many touchdowns do you think Kadarius Toney's going to have